own head, broken it into 5 segments. You've really got the micro business, which is where Xero and SASU are targeting for cloud. You've got the SME beginners, which is really MYOB and QuickBooks, where you sort of start to grow into a real business. Then you've got the SMEs that are growing. They're actually, the business is growing and they're outgrowing MYOB and QuickBooks. Where do they go? Then you get to large organisations and enterprise. I put in another picture here. I'm really going to try and target that small to medium area. I'm not going to really worry about spending too much time on the low end, because we all know that MYOB and QuickBooks, or if you haven't even got to that level, SASU and Xero will do that job, and your accountant will tell you which one to use. You won't even think about it. The biggest challenge the accountants and everyone has is that small to medium area. What do I do when I've run out of power with MYOB and run out of power with QuickBooks? Because then the range of options get wider, and I won't be polite to accountants, because most accountants don't actually then know what to do. They get stuck. So we need to sort of spend time on the hard problem rather than dodging the hard problem. But before I do that, I will just briefly touch on some of the smaller areas, just so that you can get a feel for what's there. Traditionally, under $500, it's always been either MYOB, QuickBooks, or if you're doing Cashbook, the accountants will get you to do it under Cashflow Manager or BankLink. What's been quite powerful with BankLink, it's actually been letting people pick up their bank statements and code their bank statements. So letting the accountants, bookkeepers just go and put in the data, and the accountants will come back and fix it up. Where the 2 cloud products, Xero and SASU, come in, they've actually made a real, seems funny, a revolutionary change. They actually got into bed with the banks, and the banks have now got standard output of their bank statements. So they're actually picking up people's bank statements and pre-coding them, or setting them up so there's a template coming in. So if you're a one-man band, right, business, you can grab your bank statement and pull it into Xero or SASU, and it will actually code up and tell you where the stuff should go as best as possible. So it actually takes a lot of work away from the accountants. The approach for the accountants has been they're actually getting their clients onto it, because they want to actually be there. And the good thing about the cloud is the accountant can actually look at your data on a regular basis, and we're seeing most of the progressive accountants actually starting to go, we'll charge you $1,000 a month, but we'll actually do your accounting for you. So you can actually put it into Xero and SASU and we'll look at it. I thought that was a fairly revolutionary idea until I went, oh, that's outsourcing, isn't it? So it's the same old wheel. We're coming back to a mainframe system where you used to outsource it. But the difference is you can outsource and put in the data yourself. But the accountants and bookkeepers can come along. They can stay on their own premises and look at your data. So it will actually make things quite powerful for getting the correct information. Looking at support on that micro level, it's still pretty much do-it-yourself, or you ring a help desk. And the killer with all the help desks, it's just like ringing the ATO and everyone. If everyone rings on the same day, you're in the queue. Most people actually just let their bookkeeper do it, and I'm sort of saying between $40 to $100 for a bookkeeper. How much do you need to set up a micro system? Between $500 and a couple of $1,000. Most people look at me and go, you're off your head. Why would I pay $300 for MYOB and pay $2,000 to get it set up? Or if I'm buying Xero or SASU, I'm paying $39 a month. The challenge is, even though you've still done that, you've still got to work out what's your chart of accounts, who are your debtors, what are your creditors, and more often than not, you need to talk to the accountant about how to do it. And the biggest issue still comes back to, and this might sound rude to all the people, you don't know what you're doing, so you make mistakes, and you need to spend time with your accountant coaches teaching you how to get it right, or you need to just spend time that you've put it in, you've buggered it up, and you've got to re-enter it. Polite term there, highly technical, but that's the sort of things that happen. That's why the cost of that is, and they're sort of, I normally tend to work on those sort of costs in putting any of those smaller systems in. People don't actually budget for that. The maintenance, for something like a MyHub and QuickBooks, it's about 60 to 80% of your ongoing or original purchase of software. But there is really a push on to move all of that to a monthly fee basis. So instead of actually paying an upfront fee and a monthly fee to pay for your, or yearly fee for your support cover with QuickBooks or MyHub, you pay $0, $50 a month, and that gives you all of the software. And then you tend to find you're paying the accountant or bookkeeper $500 or $1,000 on top of that to actually record and check your figures, finish your BAS, and it's all done sort of a direct debit basis. While we're in the cloud area, let's have a quick look. The challenge here was actually, how do I show you this and not be actually comfortable I'm going to be able to look on the web? So I've actually just taken a few screenshots to give you a bit of a feel for it. The first one I've pulled up is just an entry screen into Xero. First thing you notice with all of these products, and you'll see this all the way through a lot of the systems now, they're all moving to having a dashboard. Just to give you a snapshot of your KPI sort of information. Pretty simple things most of the time. They're really going to give you what's in your bank account, what's your debtors and what's your creditors. And then you can drill in to have a look at what's coming and going. If I keep coming down, I talked a moment ago there about being able to pull in my bank statements. What this is my bank statements, and you'll see over on the, and this is where I have trouble. I'm not very good with my left and right, but over on the right-hand side, you'll see how it's actually got matching transactions. What's happened there is I've just picked up my bank statement and the system has automatically matched up what was on my system, so I can actually code it, and it will pre-code it where it can. If it can't pre-code it, then ask the staff member to actually fill it in. Or they can put it to a suspense code and leave it for the accountant to do. So just simplifying that process right down to a really low level so you don't have to think about it too much. But great place to start if you're starting business and you don't really know much about accounting. Just moving on, we start to then have a look at the ability to look at our accounts receivable, looking at what's outstanding, and you can see where you can drill in on an outstanding balance to see what was invoices outstanding. If we have a look at the standard P&L, same sort of thing, actual budget, variance type things, nice and easy to do it over the web. We've now moved into SASU. Did anyone notice the change? No, I struggle to see the change. But I think it's a little bit like Ford and Holden in the market. As soon as one brings out something, the other's going to bring out something similar. And because it is on the web, they all seem to do an update maybe every week, which is really good at the low level. Something I've seen at a higher level, we had a client who found on every Monday their system would be changed, and for Monday morning and halfway through Monday the whole system would run slow because they happened to be running a web program that was based in the States. So every Sunday night they did an update. So Sunday night in the States tends to be Monday here. So Monday's work was out, and then late Monday, Tuesday they had a different look. So they were actually getting changes all the time, which really was quite challenging. It's when you actually think about they're the sort of things that happen. If you're controlling your actually updates yourself, you can teach people about when it changes. But if it happens without you doing anything, you've got to keep catching up. Just having a look at the sort of layouts as you put in a transaction. One of the challenges of doing it on the web is we've actually gone back to batch processing. And people don't actually appreciate that. Is with MyHub and QuickBooks, you actually, when you put it in, it's instantly in the general ledger. It's instantly updated. But to be on the web, it has to be prepared to drop off, that you lose connections. So you can actually enter it. It's only when you actually hit OK that it actually writes it through into the web and updates the thing. But it can also mean as you're actually updating things and you're wanting to get the latest price on something, or you're giving someone a special deal, it has to go back to the web, find that special deal and come back for each line of an invoice. So it can be a bit tedious. If you've all filled in forms on even the form to come to our thing, did anyone find that tedious? Because just putting it on the web is tedious at the moment. It's not simple processing. So something to just work on. I expect this will get easier as we go to the things